We had the opportunity to sit down with the team working on apes.io and ask them about their experience developing this ambitious shooter centered around apes. If you haven't had a chance to explore apes.io yet, it's essentially a third-person shooter with battleground-style gameplay, featuring customizable wand weapons. It's available to play for free in your browser, anytime, anywhere. So without further ado, let's dive into some questions with the team.
Yeah, the mobs that we're doing pretty soon because we recently added a way to watch new players and how they play, and it seems like there's a lot of players hop around, like they hop into the game, they don't really have a good sense of shooter controls, so they just kind of like roam around and pop chests, and they're like kind of scared to get in fights. But it seems they like kind of want to be in the game and want to be like roaming around and shooting things, but they're like not quite, they're a little intimidated by the combat. So we want to like give something for those players to do that isn't just like give up. So like in the next little bit, we want to get rid of the circle and add mobs to the world so that you can spawn in and just sort of fight spider pigs or something, get pips, and that can be your experience if you're intimidated with ape combat. But for the people who want to fight, we'll mark firefights on the map, so you can just jump into the game, go find a firefight, and actually play the apes game that you're already familiar with. The main one is just giving. There's like a fair amount of people who it seems like they want to be in the world, but are too intimidated by combat to like jump right into a firefight. And the funnest thing for them to do right now is like pop chests, which I think, Matt, would you say it was 2 out of 10 fun at best?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be like nice to like crank up the dial on what's fun that isn't killing apes, just to give the new players who are maybe like learning shooter controls for the first time or something like that, because they landed on this game from a web portal where they're used to playing 2D games or whatever. Give them a chance to like do something simpler than be immediately in a competitive shooter game. Yeah, so that's the goal, is to have a better on-ramp for newer players. And then maybe there's even some players who that's all they want to do forever, and those players can just live in the apes world. Sometimes they'll get hunted by other apes, other shooter apes, but I think that's just part of the world and how the world works. The first version of them is just to sort of be moving chests that react to players, like essentially, yeah, just like Minecraft mobs or something, where they react to players. They have a little bit of health. You eventually kill them and they drop pips.
We've just seen from playtests that this is some people's like first shooter. Like some people are just grasping the controls just barely.
Yeah, we see a lot of alternating using the mouse and the keyboard, where it's like someone will move and then aim and then move and then aim.
Yeah, and it's not like we've thought like, oh, maybe we just make a game for them. But it's like, no, we like making a cool shooter that if you are a person who is experienced with shooters and likes playing them, you can find this cool web game that loads up pretty fast. But I think we can accommodate those newer players by giving them a sort of something to do before, taking on human players.
Yeah, totally.
So I think in some ways, like the other apes will be like the hardest version of the mob.
Yeah.
And then we'll try and have a gradient, like, oh, there's like video game type enemies. Like imagine like birds on the ground. They're like more or less target practice. But then you can have like spiders or bats that are a little bit more aggro. And you can keep going from there. Like maybe there's like monkeys or something that are maybe they can also have wands, but they're like kind of no sweat to deal with if you're experienced. And then just that's the hope. We're just beginning to flesh it out. So
yeah, the timer is flipped now, so it just counts up. and it might as well not exist, except for there are some trials that say you have to survive for however many minutes or whatever. So the leaderboard, which is still kind of we should put a real leaderboard in. It won't take very long to do. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. One day I'm just going to do it. But currently the leaderboard is just daily best kills and daily best pips. That's going to go way up again and just show whoever has the most time. But it'd be nice to have a leaderboard that still is like kills in 10 minutes and have that maybe be one of the main leaderboard categories. Because there's only so many people who can compete in the unlimited time kills category, whereas the 10-minute kills category, I guess it's also true that there's only so many people that can be competitive in that, but at least like the dream of being competitive is it's less crazy to think of spending 10 minutes to do something than like spending your entire life or your entire day. Because a lot of it is just reading, internalizing, mulling over, having it influence our design process, and then talking about designing the game. And then, yeah, I'm sure we could draw some connections.
I was just going to say, like, you just pushed a build, Jeremy, where the timer is now going up. And that was because we pushed a build earlier where the timer was going down, and you know, parts of it worked, but parts of it didn't. And there was a lot of feedback that ended up resulting in the change that just went live. And as you can see on status screen, there's music sliders that will also be a response.
Yeah, this is a testament to our snappy turnaround, where if you request something, then 6 months later we'll get right on it. But like honestly, this has been a frequent request, we could say, having like volume mixers. And I think it's just been intimidating because we know that we don't have like a full options menu yet. So it feels like it's buried behind that project, which is pretty massive. But I think we were letting the perfect be the enemy of the good there. So we're really only just beginning the project, so I can't make any promises for how long it will take. But the idea is just somewhere on the screen, as quick as we can make it, we're going to add some buttons for bringing the music and the sound effects and into whatever settings you want there. And yeah, this is a comment that I think we got yesterday or 2 days ago. It was a suggestion, and it just like maybe finally sunk in of like, okay, yes, this is important enough that we shouldn't drag our feet on it anymore. It's go time for this.
Yeah.
That being said, it's go time for a lot of things. So
yeah,
it still needs to find its place in the queue. Something that we're experimenting with. Like right now in the game, you can't run towards the camera. And it kind of gives the ape this like almost like he's avoiding you kind of vibe. So I think you'll get a better sense of your character if you can just kind of orbit the camera around yourself. It won't always do this. Like when you're aiming or engaged in combat, the ape will be focused on what you're pointed towards. But
nice.
Yeah. While preserving the crazy combat, hopefully letting the people who just want to roll around and sort of hunt mobs together the chance to communicate. So I think it's about time for us to get a moat system in. It'll probably be a little bit bare bones while we first start to implement it. It'll be more complicated than this, but just to start, if we gave people like the make war and make peace emojis floating above their head, basically, like how would people use them? Will people be at all drawn to sort of peacefully explore together?
Yeah, the other thing that we're working on coming up is just more skins too. Skins and like ways to get skins. So that's also kind of in the pipeline parallel to the more boring things like loading time. and I guess also not boring things like mobs. But yeah, skins will be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And then I guess related to skins, not really related to skins, but sort of like a way of getting skins and stuff is a little bit after that, we're thinking of having stuff like in-world missions. You talk to an ape on the map and they tell you go kill this other ape, or go find this thing. Just the things that you can do to get rewards for. And then in conjunction with that, bringing back something like the loadout system where you have your personal cards and you can build your personal wand. And then those cards that you use to build your personal wand, you get from doing missions and stuff like that. So you can get skins and personal deck cards. And yeah, that's sort of the general trajectory of that kind of stuff.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow the Apes team on Twitter and in their Discord. Links will be in the description down below. If you've got some questions of your own for the Apes team, feel free to leave them in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.